Today's the day to let go of our inhibitions and embrace the freedom of painting in a loose style. So we'll be ditching the rigid lines and formal structures of botanical painting to create something truly unique and expressive. Let's go. This painting tutorial is suitable for absolute beginners. All you're going to need is a clean glass of water, some kitchen paper and paints. For today's painting, I'm just going to be using two reds, a light one and a dark one, and a yellow, a blue and a sepia. This is the colour chart that I use to match my colours, which helps colour matching easy, and in this video on the top of your screen I show you how to make your own to help you match your colours. Okay, so to start with, I've taped down my paper onto my watercolour board like this, just using some low-tack masking tape, and I have a little ceramic palette here to mix my colours. This one's from Jackson's and it's super easy to clean. Just a couple of brushes today, and I'm starting off my numbers 12 size round from Etcher, which is a synthetic brush and just super easy to use. I begin by mixing two reds. One is more orangey red and one is a sort of true vibrant red, so whichever reds that you have within your palette, as long as they vary a little bit in colour. So to begin this loose style watercolour painting, we're going to be working wet in wet. All I'm doing here is applying the water, which is slightly tinted with a little bit of red there, with a sort of rough shape of a poppy head, as you can see me doing here. So wet in wet means that we apply the water onto the paper and then just drop in the paint, as you can see me doing here. There's no rhyme or reason to this, I'm just dropping in that paint really randomly, picking up the two colour reds that I've got on my palette and just letting that paint splurge naturally into the water that I've applied onto my paper. The paint will only go where you've dropped that water, so make sure that you keep an eye on where you're dropping it when you use your brush like this. Notice how I'm using the tip of my brush to just drop that paint gently into the water. You'll be able to see where you drop your water in when you're painting it yourself. Just adding a little bit of a shape here. It looks a bit strange at the moment, but trust the process, I promise you, all will look right in the end. I'm just adding a tiny bit of lemon yellow to this to give a little bit of variation, using the tip of my brush to drop that colour in. So we're all about loose painting today, nothing structured, just having fun with painting and making it super easy to follow. I'm mixing my own green here by using cobalt blue light and a little bit of lemon yellow, and all the materials that I'm going to be using today I will put in the description box underneath this video should you want to check them out for yourself, but please use whatever you have. You can see me there just drawing in a random shape for the stem here, and the same on the other side, purposely letting that paint drop into the wet paint of the petals that I painted onto the poppy head like this. I wanted this painting to have a really loose watercolour feel, which is completely different to my normal way of painting. Sometimes it's really good to have fun with watercolour and not be too structured. You can see me here just adding a little bit of water to the poppy seed heads and adding a tiny bit more blue to the yellow colour that I've mixed there. So we've got a lovely bluey green tone there for the seed heads. Again, just letting that paint do the work. Not worrying that that watercolour paint is merging into the already damp paint. Adding a tiny bit of yellow to the outside edge of the seed heads and just letting it do its thing. The purpose of this painting is to be loose, watery and let that flow. With every brush stroke we are going to be exploring the depths of our creativity and really unleashing our inner artist with this one. Have fun with it and not be too structured, and just let go of those inhibitions when you're painting. This is sepia, still using my number 12 size brush. You see I'm just dropping this in randomly to create the illusion of there being the centre part of this poppy here. Adding a tiny bit of yellow so that we have a more of an orangey red tone now, and just dropping this into the still wet paint. If you're new here, we launch brand new tutorials every single Tuesday, so you may want to consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification. That way you don't miss new content and you keep up to date with all our tutorials. If you are enjoying this video, could I ask you to please smash that like button? It's a way of letting YouTube know that you're enjoying my content, and I'd really appreciate a big thumbs up. So if you're the kind of person who prefers a little bit more structure in the watercolour tutorials, we've got just the thing for you. Our Patreon page is chock full of step-by-step guides and in-depth tutorials that will have you painting like a pro in no time. So in case that's something that interests you, let's just take a look. If you love botanical painting and want to know more, then you may want to join our Patreon. We have different membership levels so that you can take your botanical painting to the next level. With our Clematis level, you will have a full-length, in-depth tutorial every month, and if you'd like to make even more progress, then check out our Rose level, where we now have a mentorship offering feedback to help you grow. You won't find any of our Patreon tutorials here on YouTube, and you can cancel your membership at any time. So if you want to take your botanical painting to the next level, then take a look. I'll put the link in the description underneath this video. You won't find any of our Patreon tutorials here on YouTube and vice versa, so that if that's something that interests you and you really want to level up, then do take a look at our Patreon. We'd really appreciate seeing you there. I've decided to add a few more poppies. I wanted this painting to look like the poppies are blowing in the wind, and a really blurry sort of soft look to these baby poppy flowers. So once again, I've just used the wet and wet approach to drop in the colour, as you can see me doing here. Just any red tone will do, and the same process, once that paint is applied, I'm just taking the stems to make it look like they are gently blowing in the breeze with this soft look, as you can see here. I really love the look of this painting already. Just taking the paint into the damp paint, as you can see there, letting it naturally blur. Just adding a little bit of an outline to the stems here and taking that colour all the way down, letting those watercolours melt into each other, as you can see. Just adding a bit of that yellowy red tone, so that's yellow and red mixed together, and we're just dropping in here and there randomly to give a little bit of structure to these tiny little poppy. Everything's now dry, and I just want to give it a little bit more structure. So picking up my paints as before, using my red tone and just using my number 12 brush just to go over that dry paint, just to give this kind of like an illusion of the poppy having a little bit of shape and tonal contrast. You don't have to do this, it actually looks fine as it is, but I just wanted to give it a little bit more colour and just to sort of use my brush in this kind of wiggly manner. Switching up my colours as I go through, using that orangey tone and just dropping it in, as you can see. So this is called wet and dry. You apply your paint on top of your dry wash. You have more control of your paint this way, and it's something that you would ordinarily do when you've done your first wash. And you letting the paint do the work for you. Because the paint has dried into that natural shape, you can use that to your advantage and take your brush where you feel the paint has settled to enhance those shapes that have been naturally formed by the watercolour drying. This is a spotter brush and I'm using it to just add a little bit more detail. I'm using it to add some detail to the top of the poppy seed heads like this. You could use any brush, but I find that these are really great for controlling your application with your paint if you just wanted to add a tiny bit more detail here and there. Like I said, I will link everything in the description box underneath this video. Over on our YouTube channel, we ordinarily provide you with the free reference photograph and line drawing to trace from, but of course today we're freestyling, so there isn't one. But if you did want access to all our line drawings and references, do join our Facebook group. We are a wonderful community over there, and like I said, you can have free access to all our traceables, and of course it gives you the chance to post up your finished paintings and have some feedback. So do consider joining us. We're an amazing community, and once again I will link it in the description box underneath this video. I once again applying the water, so to work wet in wet, just putting a little bit of water on top of these little baby poppies and dropping in some more pigment like this to give them a little bit more vibrancy and a little bit more form. Adding a bit of detail to the top of the poppy seed heads using a little bit of sepia. And we are pretty much good to go. This is the finished painting. Let me know what you think.